Well, yesterday we asked if the AI bubble popped, and today they're literally begging the government for a bailout.
Bailout!
I mean, you can't make this crap up. I know what you're thinking, Rustin. How did you know? Well, I'll tell you how I knew. Roll it.
A Ponzi scheme is playing out in the AI space right now. Check this out. On the 25th of September, CoreWeave signs a $6.3 billion deal with OpenAI, bringing their total contract together to $22.3 billion since March. Follow me here. A week before, CoreWeave signs a $6.3 billion deal with Nvidia, who says that they will buy up any unused compute space that they don't sell, which sent the stock booming. But you dig a little deeper and you understand that Nvidia owns a 7% or more stake in both OpenAI and CoreWeave. In fact, Nvidia invested into CoreWeave back in March of 2023. And as far as OpenAI, Nvidia is investing $100 billion into OpenAI, who is required to buy their chips. So wait, Nvidia gives money to OpenAI, who gives money to CoreWeave, who gives money back to OpenAI, who gives money back to Nvidia, who gives money to CoreWeave, who gives money to Nvidia. Smells like a Ponzi scheme to me.
Yeah, that's right. You see that?
That's my quant.
Your what?
My quantitative.
And I'll take my quant over yours in the octagon any day. But here's the truth. The Big Short, Volume 2, is in production right now. And this time, the bailout comes with AI buzzwords and Silicon Valley tears. There's a storm coming, and it could be the catalyst for one of the craziest Bitcoin bull runs in history.
Look, the way this works is we're going to tell you it's totally hopeless to compete with us on training foundation models. You shouldn't try, and it's your job to, try anyway. And I believe both of those things. I think it is pretty hopeless, but...
Yeah, so last year he's telling everyone it's hopeless to compete. And now he's hat in hand asking Uncle Sam for a backstop. How about that for financial performance art? I don't know, but once a company starts asking for subsidies or loans from the government, it might be a sign that they're done. Stick a fork in it. The AI bubble is a poppin'. And it's gonna take a few $1 trillion of too big to fail with it. This is the new Wall Street playbook. Get so big you can threaten the financial system if you fail, then hold the government hostage for bailouts and perks. We saw it in 2008, now it's happening with AI.
OpenAI, at our core, are the model company that needs always to be the state of the art. That's what we've done time and time again. GPT-5 is no exception. But even in areas like open source, we're attempting to put the state-of-the-art model always out into the world. And in order to do that, we always want to be on the frontier chip. So the question is, how long does a chip remain on the frontier? Is it 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or even longer? Now, in a world where we have no compute, or we're compute constrained, we are absolutely using chips that have A100 equivalents that have been around maybe 6, 7 years at this point in time. If that's the case, financing chips gets a lot easier. If the timeline on the chip stays short, that gets harder. And so this is where we're looking for an ecosystem of banks, private equity, maybe even governmental, the ways governments can come to bear.
Meaning like a federal subsidy or something?
Meaning just first of all, the backstop, the guarantee that allows the financing to happen. That can really drop the cost of the financing, but also increase the loan to value, so the amount of debt that you can take on top of an equity portion for
so some federal backstop for chip investment.
Exactly. And I think we're seeing that. I think the US government in particular has been incredibly forward-leaning, has really understood that AI is almost a national strategic asset, and that we really need to be thoughtful when we think about competition with, for example, China. Are we doing all the right things to grow our AI ecosystem as fast as possible?
Are you talking to the White House about how to further formalize that kind of backstop?
We're always being brought in by the White House to give our point of view as an expert on what's happening in the sector, for sure.
Should we, is there something in the works that's tangible?
Nothing, no, I love you, Sarah, but nothing to announce. Nothing that's going on right now.
If you wanted to, we're here to listen.
She literally said it out loud. They want federal loan guarantees for AI data centers. You can't make it up. Well, it turns out this revolutionary industry can't survive without government credit. It's basically the AI utility company now. Meta is hiding $30 billion in AI debt off its balance sheet using special purpose vehicles. Remember Enron? Same playbook, except this time it's Nvidia chips instead of oil contracts. UBS says AI debt is building at $100 billion per quarter. That's a little bit of a raise eyebrows moment for anyone who remembers credit cycles. This is 2008 style financial engineering repackaged for AI. Back then we had subprime mortgages. Now it's subprime GPUs. Meta's $30 billion SPV, Musk's $20 billion lease, Google backstopping. It's a literal circle jerk of debt disguised as innovation.
The retail people are all in. So, but in fairness,
but that's what I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
In terms of because there is a misunderstanding. Clearly, you look at the analysts. Most analysts, think that this stock is overpriced. You have people like Michael Burry out there shorting it. Everybody who's shorted this stock thus far has been on the losing end of it. And I'm trying to understand, just if you look at sort of the growth trajectory, the sales, how much of the sales, frankly, I think actually even there was a huge part coming from even existing customers.
That's what it looked like right before the music stopped for Lehman Brothers in 2008.
As far as I can tell, the two companies he's shorting are the ones making all the money, which is super weird. Like, the idea that chips and ontology is what you want to short is batshit crazy. But leaving that aside,
this dude's out here talking about unfair advantage for American workers while insiders dump stock faster than you can say AI ETF rebalancing. And they're shocked the market's not more exuberant. Bro, you're selling the top. This is exactly how Enron and Lehman sounded before implosion. Attack the shorts, praise yourself, and ignore reality. Here we go. OpenAI lost $13.5 billion on $4.3 billion in revenue first half of 2025. Again, that's not a business model, that's a performance art. Nvidia invests $100 billion in OpenAI, so OpenAI can spend $100 billion on Nvidia GPUs. If I give your lemonade stand $10 so you can buy my $10 of lemons, we can't pretend the economy grew by $20. But that's exactly how they're doing it. Data center spending is now driving US GDP growth, not because AI creates value, but because it burns capital faster than a GPU fan spins. This is what bubble economics looks like. Spending creates growth without returns. Even Deutsche Bank just filed to short AI stocks to hedge data center risk. When the banks that got bailed out start hedging the next bubble, it's a sign it might be over. And man, does history rhyme or what?
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
Everyone feels it. Even Jensen Huang says China is going to win the AI race. Translation, buy more chips before my earnings implode. This is how you know the cycle's ending. And guess what happens every time a bubble pops in America? They print. It's time to bring it home today, but before we do, look at our likes.
3 or 4 times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Let's take a quick second for our sponsors who keep this show on the air over at the Bitcoin Way. If your wealth lives in their system, it's not yours, it's theirs. That's why we scream Bitcoin. That's why you self-custody. And that's why you call our friends over at the Bitcoin Way. They'll walk you through multi-sig, self-custody, privacy, how to run a node, and the tools that keep you sovereign when the fiat system pulls the plug. Don't wait till it's too late. Book a free 30-minute consult today using that link in the show notes. Need cash but don't want to sell your Bitcoin? Ledn is the global leader in Bitcoin-backed loans, issuing over $9 billion in loans since 2018, and they were the first to offer proof of reserves. With Ledn, you get custody loans, no credit checks, no monthly payments, and more. Visit learn.ledn.io/simply to learn more and get 25 basis points off your first loan.
The two interesting ones that we hear about the most in the asset management world is value and growth. So growth, you're talking about your Facebooks, Amazons, Googles, and Apples, and things like that. These are the big growth companies, which have a huge, but that's now, they a lot of concentration in those guys because they have grown so much that they make up like 2 or 3% of a given benchmark. And so everyone's going to be kind of almost overweight on them at some point. Value is, we always seem to be in a growth market with all the money printing. There's something I wasn't really switched on to before, is why is growth is in recent years, in the recent 10, 15 years, 20 years, or 20, almost coming up to 20 years since the great financial crisis, growth was always more in favor than value. Because of all the stimulus that was being pumped into the markets and stuff. So it made sense. It suddenly started to make proper sense as I start to learn about Bitcoin.
AI was the last thing propping up markets. Now that it's cracking, the Fed has two choices: let the tech sector burn or turn the printer back on. And we know which button they're gonna hit.
The best crypto asset. Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay, what's the second best? There is no second best.
Every time the system breaks, the response is more liquidity, more debt, more inflation, which means only one thing goes up for real: Bitcoin.
For 3 years, to embrace a vital industry here in Miami, I've also signed historic executive orders to end the federal government's war on crypto. Crypto is under siege. It's not under siege anymore because it's a big industry. It's a big industry, and I have a lot of people that are great people, great business people. They're in other businesses, but they're in crypto too. And it takes a lot of the pressure off the dollar. It does a lot of good things, but we're into it. Biden was vicious on crypto. They were going after these crypto guys. It was terrible. They were under indictment, but I got indicted too. I got indicted. I made a phone call. Congratulations on your victory. He made a phone call. Let's indict him. These people are the worst. Then they say, he's gone after Comey. They indicted me. They impeached me. They did everything. It's unbelievable. Who the hell else could have taken that? Do you guys know anybody else that could have taken it? I don't think so. A lot of people say, you're the only one could have taken that. I don't know if that's true, but there aren't too many. We're making the United States the Bitcoin superpower, the crypto capital of the world, and the undisputed leader in artificial intelligence. We're leading China by a lot. And don't forget, if we don't do the crypto properly, China wants to do it. They're starting it, but they want to do it. Other countries want to do it. If we don't do it, it's a big industry. We're honored to.
We have in 2030 a forecast of the entire crypto asset ecosystem. And of course, we're going to be modifying this with time. We're doing our big ideas work now, but as of our last go at this, the ecosystem we expect to hit $25 trillion in 2030, the vast majority of that in Bitcoin. Mostly because we look at Bitcoin as, a global monetary system, rules-based that we've been missing since the U.S. went off the gold exchange standard in 1971. That's a very big idea.
Well, AI needs a bailout. Bitcoin needs no one. It's not a Ponzi. It's not a promise. It's energy. And you can't print energy.
If you look at the failure of fiat currencies, they don't gradually fail. They fail spectacularly. And this is the premise behind the 1 million Bitcoin call, that it's not going to be a gradual, slow increase to $1 million a coin, but rather a very short and violent upheaval that sends us there in a matter of months, weeks to months. And if you look at the hyper-Bitcoinization landscape, what you do see is more and more countries coming out and mining Bitcoin. Bhutan, I think, is the clearest example of this. They have close to $1 trillion now in Bitcoin holdings from mining over the past 4 to 5 years. So if this is not an indication that hyper-Bitcoinization is coming, I'm not really sure what is. But countries that have excess energy, they can tap into that now and convert that into money and use that money for financing lots of different things. I believe we're also on the verge of countries issuing debt, sovereign debt, to buy Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin bond program, it is going to come simply because the MicroStrategy model has illustrated that this works, and it works very well. And it's just simply a matter of time before a country pulls that trigger and unleashes a torrent of sovereign debt to acquire Bitcoin.
He's right. We're just getting started. Bitcoin is the anti-bubble. A short and violent Bitcoin upheaval could be coming. The AI bubble was built on debt. Bitcoin was built on proof of work. One needs a bailout, the other is the bailout. Stack sats, take self-custody, and I'll see you in Valhalla, and we'll see you at Mining Disrupt 2025. Get those tickets to Mining Disrupt 2025. See the future of Bitcoin mining up close in Dallas, Texas, November 11th through the 13th. The biggest names in the industry. Cutting edge rigs, Bitcoin, and AI integration, the signal you won't get anywhere else. Grab your tickets today and use promo code SimplyBitcoin for 20% off, and we'll see you there. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pamp by sharing the Sound Money Gospel. Set those notifications for the best in Bitcoin news delivered to you daily, and I'll see you next time. Love you guys. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, you.